We're diving into something that's both amazing and frustrating. Like how AI is everywhere these days.
Mm.
But then it can still do some pretty clueless things,
Yeah.
right? Like if you ask your smart speaker for the weather and it tells you the capital of Australia,
It's like, what are you talking about?
don't act like that's never happened to you.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are going deep into this whole world of large language model optimization. Basically how AI actually gets smarter. And get this, the source that we're using to guide us through this is this super interesting document from the Cleaning and Restoration Science Institute.
Really?
I know, right?
That's interesting.
Who knew that the people who kept our carpets clean were so fascinated by AI?
Yeah.
But anyway, it turns out that optimizing these LLMs isn't just one thing. It's a whole matrix of techniques.
It is. It's true. The source that we're looking at breaks it down into two main axes: context optimization and LLM behavior optimization.
Okay, so now when I hear matrix, I don't know about you, but I go straight to Keanu Reeves. So to make this a little bit easier to grasp, imagine you're training a puppy, right? So context optimization is kind of like teaching your AI puppy new tricks and making sure that it remembers all the old ones that it's learned. So it's constantly expanding its doggy brain with new information. But here's the mind-blowing part. The source mentions these things called context windows, which have gotten ridiculously large.
Yeah.
We're talking up to 100,000 tokens.
That's huge.
You know how sometimes you're having a conversation with an AI and you have to keep reminding it of things that you've already told it?
Right.
Like, hello, remember this.
Exactly.
Larger context windows mean that the AI can remember more of the conversation. So it's like having a really, really good listener, except this listener can process information at lightning speed.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really makes you realize just how much AI is evolving.
Okay, so what about the behavior part of this optimization? So is that where we teach the AI puppy to stop chewing on the furniture?
You could say that. LLM behavior optimization is all about shaping how the AI uses all that knowledge that we're giving it through context optimization. It's not just about knowing the tricks. It's about understanding when to use them, how to respond in different situations, and how to be a well-behaved AI citizen.
Okay, so we've got the knowledge part and the how to use it part.
Hmm.
But how do we actually do that? Like, how do we make that happen?
Right.
So the source dives into a bunch of different techniques, things like prompt engineering, R, which stands for retrieval-augmented generation,
Yeah.
and fine-tuning. And to be honest, some of these sound a little intimidating at first glance.
They do sound a little complicated, but at their core, they're all about guiding the AI to become more effective in how it uses information and how it interacts with us.
Okay, let's start with prompt engineering because it's often the first step in this optimization journey. Think of it like giving the AI extremely specific instructions because it turns out how we ask for things matters a lot.
It really does.
Like when I try to give my partner directions, if I'm too vague, we end up hopelessly lost. So with prompt engineering, we're talking about crafting those laser-focused requests to get the AI to understand exactly what we want it to do.
Precisely. And it goes even deeper than that. The source actually mentions some super cool advanced techniques like chain of thought prompting,
Oh, wow.
where you're basically encouraging the AI to think step by step through a problem. It's kind of like when you're trying to solve a riddle and you talk yourself through each step out loud.
Interesting.
This type of prompting encourages the AI to show its work, so to speak, which makes it feel less like a mysterious black box.
So we're basically getting into AI whisperer territory here, which I have to say sounds pretty awesome. But what about that other one, ORAG retrieval-augmented generation? That one sounds seriously intense.
It is pretty cool once you wrap your head around it. Imagine being able to access the entire internet while you're thinking. That's essentially what RL allows LLMs to do. It's like having a super-powered research assistant on hand at all times, able to pull up relevant information from the vast expanse of the internet in real time. No more frantic Googling for you.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And I bet we've all seen this in action. Like, think about how much better AI chatbots have gotten at giving us really detailed and up-to-date answers. That's RAD doing its thing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Okay, so RAD is like giving the AI a massive encyclopedia at its fingertips. But what about fine-tuning? That sounds like where things get really interesting in terms of shaping what the AI can do.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Fine-tuning is like taking that AI puppy who's learned all these basic tricks,
Okay.
and we're sending it to like a specialized academy. So instead of being this general purpose AI, we can use fine-tuning to make it an expert in, I don't know, say 18th century French poetry or the history of cleaning products.
Wait, are we still talking about the Cleaning and Restoration Science Institute document here? Because that seems pretty meta.
Maybe not that specifically, but yeah, you get the idea. And the really cool part is that researchers have figured out ways to do this without having to retrain the entire model from scratch. So techniques like LoRa, which stands for low-rank adaptation, make fine-tuning a lot more efficient.
So it's like giving the AI like a crash course instead of making it go through years of school.
Exactly.
Okay, I like the sound of that. But with all of these techniques that we're talking about, like prompt engineering, RAG fine-tuning, it makes you wonder, like, where do you even begin? Optimizing an LLM sounds like a journey, not just a one-time thing.
You're totally right. It's not a straight line to AI optimization. It's more
Yeah.
like jazz.
Jazz hands, I like it. So it's all about improvisation and like finding the right groove.
Exactly. You might start with something really simple, like just crafting better prompts. Then you might add in some few-shot learning, where you give the AI a few examples to learn from. Then maybe you bring in the power of RAG for real-time information retrieval. And if you really want to take things to the next level, you might even dip your toes into the fine-tuning waters. But the key is to constantly evaluate how the AI is doing and adjust your approach accordingly.
So you're not just like setting it and forgetting it. It's this ongoing process of tweaking and refining and like guiding the AI towards greater accuracy and usefulness. Kind of like what we do with our own brains when you think about it.
Right.
Constantly learning, always adapting. I like it. But this does bring up a question. Is there ever a point where despite all of this optimization, things still go wrong? I mean,
Yeah.
AI isn't perfect, right?
Oh, absolutely. Even with all the advancements that we've made, LLMs are still a work in progress. And one of the biggest gotchas that the source highlights is something called the lost in the middle problem.
Lost in the middle. Okay. That sounds a bit ominous, like the AI is wandering around in some kind of digital desert or something.
Not quite that dramatic, but you get the idea. Basically, even AI has its limits when it comes to processing information when you give an LLM extremely long prompts or ask it to deal with huge amounts of information. It can get a bit overwhelmed. It might nail the beginning and the end, but the stuff in the middle can get a bit muddled.
Ah, so even AI has a limited attention span, which honestly makes me feel a little bit better about those times I completely zone out during meetings.
Maybe we can all relate to that.
Yeah.
But on a more serious note, this lost in the middle problem highlights something really important. We need to understand the limitations of AI. Just because it can do these amazing things doesn't mean it can do everything perfectly all the time.
Right.
And it's not just about attention spans either. There's also this constant balancing act between accuracy and efficiency. We can push these LLMs to be incredibly smart, but that often requires massive amounts of computing power, which isn't always practical or, frankly, good for the environment.
Right. It's about finding that sweet spot between, wow, this AI is amazing, and like, is my laptop about to melt through my desk?
Exactly. It's all about optimization, remember?
Right.
Finding the right balance is a big part of that.
So we've talked about making AI smarter, but it sounds like we also need to be smarter about how we use it. And speaking of the future, like, where is all of this headed? What's coming next in the world of LLM optimization?
Well, the source gives us some pretty interesting clues about what the future holds.
Yeah.
One thing that really caught my eye was this idea of integrating something called knowledge graphs into LLMs.
Knowledge graphs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds a little intimidating.
It does sound complicated.
You have to break this one down for me.
Okay, so imagine like a massive interconnected web of concepts and facts. That's essentially what a knowledge graph is. And by connecting these graphs to LLMs, we could potentially give AI a much deeper, more nuanced understanding of how the world works.
So instead of just like spitting out information, the AI would actually be able to grasp relationships, context, the bigger picture.
Exactly. It's like giving the AI a whole new level of comprehension. And it gets even cooler. The source also mentions these things called multimodal models, which combine text, image, and audio understanding.
Hold on. We're talking about AI that can not only read, but also see and hear? That's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
It really is. Imagine AI that can understand a meme, or interpret a piece of music, or even follow along with a cooking show and actually learn how to make the dish.
Wow.
The possibilities are pretty mind-blowing.
It makes you realize that we're not just talking about making AI smarter. We're talking about like fundamentally changing how we interact with it. It's like we're entering this whole new era of human AI collaboration.
Yeah.
And speaking of collaboration, there was one game-changing tip in the source that really stood out to me, even though it seemed incredibly simple at first.
Oh, yeah. You mean the part about just telling my AI, let me know if you need any clarification?
Yes. I have to admit, I kind of chuckled a bit when I read that because it seemed almost too good to be true.
Right.
Like, really?
But the source suggests that this one little prompt, this acknowledgement that the AI might need a bit more information from us to do its best work can significantly improve the accuracy and usefulness of its responses.
Interesting.
It's like we're saying, hey, we're in this together, let's help each other out. And the amazing thing is, it actually works.
It's like the more advanced AI becomes, the more important clear communication becomes. It's not about like dumbing things down. It's about being mindful of how we interact with these increasingly complex systems.
Exactly.
I love that. It's a good reminder that even in this world of super intelligent machines, we still have a crucial role to play in shaping how they evolve and ensuring that they're used for good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into this fascinating world of LLM optimization. From context windows to knowledge graphs, from prompt engineering to the power of simply asking for clarification. We've explored the tools and techniques that are really pushing the boundaries of AI. It's a world that's constantly evolving, full of exciting possibilities and, of course, some challenges along the way. But as we've learned today, even small steps, like crafting a clear prompt or acknowledging the AI's need for clarification, can make a world of difference. So keep those questions coming, keep exploring, and keep an eye on this ever-evolving landscape of AI. And most importantly, don't be afraid to ask your AI for clarification every now and then. You might be surprised at how much it appreciates the help.